Hi, my name is Carl Jesus, and you found CNN 10, your 10-minute down-the-middle explanation of world events. We spent the past few days really focused on COVID-19. That's the technical term for the new coronavirus that broke out last December in China and has spread around the world since then. This disease has sickened tens of thousands of people worldwide and caused several thousand deaths, though the vast majority of people who catch it will recover. Once again on Monday, the U.S. stock market took a dive. The Dow Jones Industrial Average of 30 significant stocks closed down nearly 3,000 points, or almost 13%. That was its worst one-day point drop ever and its worst one-day percentage drop since 1987. U.S. President Donald Trump suggested the coronavirus outbreak in America could last until July or August, and he advised people to avoid groups of more than 10. Beyond the markets and the closures, cancellations, and quarantines we've reported on, side effects or trickle-down effects from the virus are now becoming clearer. One place that's happening is in America's gig economy. This has been a growing part of the country's economic makeup. It's when people work based on the gigs or temporary jobs they get. Uber drivers are excellent examples of this. The advantage for workers is that they can often work whenever and however long they want. And some people use these jobs for extra income to make money over the weekend or on their time off from another job. But the downside for gig workers is that they're often not considered full-time employees by the companies they work for. So they may not get benefits like guaranteed salaries or health care that full-time workers often do. And with more Americans staying home, traveling less, and not being able to go to concerts and sporting events, many gig workers are feeling the pinch.
As the number of cases of coronavirus rises worldwide, gig workers like couriers or rideshare drivers are particularly vulnerable. First, their health.
We're still trying to get our arms around the exact mode of spread of this virus, but we've clearly seen a number of Uber, Lyft, taxi drivers getting infected. One of the things we know is droplet contact is an important one, meaning when you cough or sneeze, you release micro droplets. People come into contact with those droplets with their hands, and then they're touching their face. That's a mode of transmission.
I'm fully aware that I'm more exposed to risk than most other members of the public simply because I'm spending my entire day with complete strangers in very close proximity without any significant protections.
But it's not just their contact with people that put them uniquely at risk. Gig workers don't get full benefits like full-time employees, things like subsidized health care and paid time off. That's why Eden Alva and other members of the group Gig Workers Rising are trying to force companies like Lyft, Uber, DoorDash, Amazon, and others to give them full benefits.
When people don't get paid sick days, it means they do not take care of themselves. It means they postpone going to the doctors, that they end up working rather than staying at home. If I don't work, I can't pay my bills, period.
Now, months into this international health crisis, the companies are starting to change their policies. Both Uber and Lyft now offer payments to drivers who have been diagnosed with coronavirus or have been quarantined by public health officials. Uber says that it's already begun to pay out some drivers. But right now, with testing not easily available, actually getting a diagnosis that you have coronavirus can be hard, if not impossible. And on top of that, the companies haven't said how much they'll pay out drivers who do test positive or are quarantined.
When people, if they get in coughing, I roll the windows down in the back a little bit and kind of, circulate the air around the car. I'm not gonna walk around here with a mask on, scaring people off.
For Lorraine Hanks, coronavirus is no scarier than anything else you might be exposed to.
Corona is not the only virus that can get you sick from other people. So I'm concerned about every virus, and I'm very precautious. And so, I have my little 91 proof alcohol. It kills everything. It kills everything in a chemical lab. It will kill everything in this car.
Both Uber and Lyft are encouraging their drivers now to disinfect their cars regularly, and both companies are offering supplies for them to do it. But for a gig worker, cleaning their cars costs time, and time equals money.
I live without safety net. As a result, you start your day and you think to yourself, is today going to be the day where something bad happens and my financial life is going to be completely derailed?
Every country facing a new epidemic asks, how big is this going to get and how fast? When a virus spreads, the number of people who are infected can quickly rise. This sharp increase can overload the healthcare system with sick patients who need intensive care. One solution is to increase the healthcare system's capacity, whether that's by building hospitals, training additional doctors, or buying more equipment. But that takes time and resources, which countries don't always have during an epidemic. Another option is to slow the spread of the virus, something experts call flattening the curve.
If you look at the curves of outbreaks, they go big peaks and they come down. What we need to do is flatten that down. That would have less people infected. That would ultimately have less deaths.
This is done by relying on people in the community to use protective measures to help slow the spread of the virus. What kind of protective measures? We're talking about the basics: washing your hands, sneezing into a tissue or your elbow, avoiding large gatherings, and staying home if you're sick. Closing schools and canceling events can also help slow the transmission of the virus in areas where there's community spread. The goal is not necessarily to reduce the overall number of cases, although that is often a positive side effect, but rather to spread the cases out over an extended period of time. This means the healthcare system will be able to treat critical patients as they come in and better cope with the strain that outbreaks place on the medical system. So even if you're not in a high-risk group, by practicing simple public health measures, you'll be helping save others' lives.
10-second trivia. In what U.S. state would you find Arabia Mountain, Elijah Mountain, and Panola Mountain? Georgia, New Hampshire, North Carolina, or Utah? You'd find all three of these locations in the Peach State of Georgia. We've talked a lot about coronavirus patients. Now we're shifting our focus to animal patients, the kind that are not sick with coronavirus. All three of those mountains we mentioned are less than 20 miles southeast of Atlanta, Georgia, and they're all in the neighborhood of a wildlife rehabilitation center that's been helping injured and orphaned animals since 2006.
AWARE is a nonprofit wildlife rehabilitation center, like a hospital for injured and orphaned native wildlife. We are responsible for feeding them, medicating them. They might need swim time or other physical therapy to get their strength back. We just try to get them ready for release back into the wild. We had about 1,300 patients in the last year. Most animals that have to come into care are coming in from human impact, and the number one reason is being hit by a car. People throw food waste out the window. It brings small animals to the side of the road, and then larger animals come and they get hit.
Cats, as much as we love them, they are kind of hurting the wildlife. They're responsible for 5 billion deaths every year.
We put out rat poison to deal with mice and rats that gets into the food chain and hurts hawks and owls and foxes. We do occasionally go out and do rescues ourselves. We usually give the public instructions on how to safely bring animals into us.
The goose showed up in the backyard and its foot was ensnarled in fishing line and it was having trouble walking. They loaned us an air-propelled net, covered the goose, we picked it up. They operated on it and we brought it home the same day and released it back. It was special because we knew because of us this goose was going to live. We can't save them all, but I think it's important that we help those that we can.
For 10 out of 10, who let the penguins out? The short answer is the Shed Aquarium in Chicago, Illinois. The facility is closed to visitors to help prevent the spread of coronavirus, so its resident rockhopper penguins were allowed to leave their habitat there and explore. This one, named Wellington, made a beeline to the fish. Yes, they may look bigger than what he normally eats. No, you can't pick him up and take him home. We knew we might get a welling ton of requests from people fishing for answers about Ping when they could rock hop on over there and flip Wellington to pet status, but your Antarctica can't just do that, even though we can enjoy watching his field trip while we stay home from ours. Hey, speaking of staying home, we know the students of Bishop Brady High School are home today, but we appreciate you watching remotely from in and around Concord, New Hampshire, and we're grateful to all of our viewers worldwide. I'm Carl Azus for CNN.